And today we have the pleasure of meeting Shoji Yamasaki. He is a performance artist and choreographer, and Shoji videos on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube went viral, reaching millions of viewers. Shoji, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Welcome. And let me tell you all how I first discovered Shoji works called Littered MVMTS movements.
Yes.
Leader movements. It was a day I woke up with a pounding headache, and his video just suddenly popped on my screen, and I couldn't stop laughing. It completely made my day, Shoji. And this is not just impressive because it is funny. The humor is there, that's obvious, but it is also so creative and is bringing awareness about littering. And of course, you have a great choreography. And as a former dancer, I admire your initiative and your ideas. And immediately I shared with all my family and friends, and everybody loved and they had a great time with your videos. For those not familiar with your work, tell us who you are and what motivated you to start the project Leader Movements.
Hi, my name is Shoji Yamasaki, and I started. So, Litter Movements is basically a split screen with one part with trash moving in the wind, and then I basically would try to replicate with costumes and movements on the other half. So, it's like a kind of like a reaction video. Um, when you see like on TikTok and things like that. And this whole project started, I would say like late 2020. Like it was like during COVID times where we were kind of like, quarantine. Um, at least in LA, we were all quarantined during that time. We couldn't go anywhere. We're all like the only thing that they, on the news they would tell you is like you can go for a walk in the neighborhood. So, I found myself walking around the neighborhood and you know, it was also a very hard time, I would say, for like dancers and choreographers and artists alike, where especially in dance world, audience is such a huge part of getting funding and having your work seen. And it's like all of a sudden, audience weren't allowed to be in theaters. There was so much more less of a um dance to be enjoyed by other people. And I think there was a huge boom, especially on TikTok, where, people started doing TikTok dances and things like that. And so I think I was more keenly aware just because there was not a whole lot of dance in my life at that point, and I think for many people. And so I was keen on movement. And as I was like walking around, I found myself, finding trash and litter around the street, and they're like little, like they're just like doing little movements, or they're like dancing in a way. And I thought, well, like how can I embody that? And I think it really, I see it from like from a hindsight. I see it from like I used to rescue rabbits for 15 years, so that was a large part of like understanding like bunny language and mimicking like these rabbit movements to kind of
Wow.
communicate between body language. And so I was really connecting to that with like trash and like how they're moving in a certain way, because every trash, when you look at those trash videos, they all move in such distinct different characters in different ways. And I think there's definitely a sort of like a culture within trash. I feel like that's so much more deeper than we can ever think of. And so I would just start recording these, trash videos around, and I would just kind of have little videos of trash moving. And then eventually I had, you know, lots of these like footages on my computer. And then I ended up making like a little short video of little vignettes, and I would, film myself doing the trash movement, try to find all the costume from or clothing from my closet, and being creative and finding ways to kind of, create, be be one with the trash.
Yes, I think Leader Movements is pure art. It transmitted several feelings to me. On the side of the video that I saw you, it was funny, creative, but the side of the trash has a quiet, almost meditative at times. And
Mm.
observing the trash on the floor, I even felt sorry, like pity of seeing that. like that movement is so interesting that you found that. And what's going through your mind in that moment when you're recording, when you are embodying the trash?
Oh, when I'm embodying the trash. Um, it's a good question. I do get this question like quite often where it's like, to be honest, there's a lot of part of me where I just need to get the movement right. So I, as much as it is very meditate, it might seem meditative when you're watching it. When I'm doing it, I'm like sweating. I am literally, I have bruises on my body the next day. Like,
Really?
oh yeah, it's a whole, I'm sore the next day, like, because sometimes I'm
Oh,
on my
wow.
arms. Like, it's a lot of my whole, I use my entire body, and it's just like there's times where I can't walk for 2 days because my knees are out. Like, it's a lot of hard work and more work than people realize. And when I'm doing it, it's just I'm in this like dancer mode, I guess, of like just trying to get it right. And just getting the counts or getting the movement right or getting the movement quality correctly. And I think that comes from like my dancer background of like trying to like mimic, as much as I could, or not mimic, but try to get the movement correctly as much as possible. And I think that's one of the things that's like different from like a normal sort of like dance is that dance, you have a choreographer and everything. And this was also kind of a project where in the back of my mind, I thought, well, like if we are, this was like during quarantine. So like if we don't have, choreographers, like how can I become a dancer again where the nature choreographs for me? And
Mhm.
so that was kind of also the thing that I was kind of having in the back of my mind when I started this project. So I think that's where it kind of all stems from.
And you studied dance in California, something like that, I was reading.
Yeah, so I went to UCLA for my BA in World Arts and Cultures Dance Concentration. It's a very long degree name.
Wow.
And then 2023 is when I graduated from Cal Arts with my MFA in choreography.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. And what your
Thank you so
friends
much.
and your professors have they seen your work?
Yes, they've seen it, and I've always gotten great comments and things like that. So I'm very appreciative, and of all the comments that I get from you and all the, viewers and everything. I'm very grateful. I'm
Oh,
grateful that it's connecting with a lot of people too. I think that's a big deal
it,
for me.
it is amazing. It is amazing. Really, I could see that there was a lot of work behind, but I didn't imagine you were getting bruises and like
Oh
you
yeah.
cannot walk for 2 days. That shows that is a you're really committed to that. That's beautiful.
Yes. Thank you. I try my best.
Yes, you're doing great, great. I hope it reach more and more people soon because that's really amazing. And like I said, it's not just funny; it is creative. It's so creative. And you work with other type of materials like food or I don't know. I saw a
Uh,
lot of like paper or plastic. You work with other stuff as well?
so I have a lot of parameters, I would say, with this littered movements work. And one of the main parameters is that I don't work with organic materials. So
Oh,
I don't work with like dead leaves or feathers or like maybe it's like a flower petal. Like I only work with like plastic, or I've gone into like napkin, which is paper, which is biodegradable, but I'm kind of putting that also with like anything like man-made. So anything that a human has touched or a human has created, or things that, doesn't biodegrade. Those are like the only main material that I work with, because I think those are like the real reason with, when you think about climate change and all this, issue that is happening, environmentalism and things like that right now, especially when, places in the world are burning up and there's some cities that are like flooded, and it's getting crazier every year. And I think it's just I just wanted to utilize materials that are only human made, and synthetic materials is like kind of my main thing.
those materials that are
And
not gonna compose, no, that are causing
yeah,
problems with their yeah.
problems, yeah, or like, choking birds and sea turtles and things like that. So it's just Yeah, for sure.
Yes, oh, awesome. And how do you think leader movements opens the door for dancers who are might not seeing themselves in the traditional dance spaces? How this project can open the doors for their creativity, I think.
So I would think like with dances, I think there's a traditional idea or meaning definition. People would define dance to be a specific like dance technique where it's like ballet or jazz or modern contemporary. And I'm not necessarily trying to kind of influence or have people learn, you know, trash movement per se, but I would say it's more about having people shift their perspective on how the world around them is always in choreography, always in dance. And when you really think about it in like a micro level, when we have little cells that are like dividing and multiplying, or DNAs or zipping or unzipping, that's all for me choreography, and it's in a way a dance. And when you think about in a macro level, when the whole universe, where all this planets, the Milky Way is spinning, our solar system, our planet is spinning around the sun, and all that is happening. It's the Earth is on a tilted axis, and that's also giving us seasons, which then gives us, different clothing. Maybe for winter, you have a bigger coat. In the summer, you have, lighter clothing. And that's all to me choreography and dance. And I think that's where I'm just kind of creating this work to allow people to have a different perspective on what dance and choreography can be. And I hope that it gives people a different perspective when they see trash that are moving on the side of the street, to maybe even think about what I do. Maybe it just kind of crosses their mind to then pick up their trash and throw it away, to, create a cleaner, better earth, because at the end of the day, this is the only home that we all have, and there's no other place. So,
Yes, definitely. That's beautiful, and I will see trash in a different way now. When I'm walking and I will see if it's moving nicely. It could be a beautiful choreography for you. And
I'm so
that's
glad.
awesome. And and Shoji, what are the next steps? What are your plans for the future?
So I would say I don't really have a specific plan per se, but I would say at this moment I'm collaborating with brands, and I'm collaborating doing campaigns. And so I'm still at a point where I think I'm just creating and see where this is going to take me. And I don't have a specific roadmap to what I'm like trying to achieve. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm just trying to shift people's perspective and have people look at the world around them a little differently, and see trash that is moving in the wind a little differently than they saw before, and make this earth again a cleaner earth.
Yeah, that's a very good plan for the future. And thanks for thinking like that. And I hope it can achieve more people. More people can watch your videos and also bring that awareness, that conscience, more than just having a fun time. And well, I will be watching your videos and see what are you bringing next, because I know that's going to be good because you're a very creative person.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your work, and thank you so much for your time and for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Have a beautiful weekend. Bye
Bye.
bye.